Hello, hello, hello. It is me, A Fox of the Angela Foxworth Show, and we are live. I am so excited to be here with you guys on this terrific Tuesday, and I am so excited about this amazing guest that I have with us today. Listen, this is the show for you if you are a person that loves to talk about being an entrepreneur, who is an independent business person, who likes to have multiple things going on, and is looking for success in all of those things because guess what? It can happen. And this beautiful lady that I have on this show with me today is going to be the person that shows us how to make that happen. So listen, sit back, relax. It's the Angela Foxworth Show right here in Tech Genius. We are right here at the Tech Genius Studio, home of the Angela Foxworth Show, and of course, Amethyst on Fire TV on Roku. That is also home of the Angela Foxworth Show. And guess what? I got another network coming in November. We are launching November 19th. I'm still going to keep it hush hush, but that's also going to be home of the Angela Foxworth Show. So guess what? You won't be able to get rid of me. Okay, if you was trying, give it up. Okay, I'm back. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. But anyway, enough about me. I want to talk about this absolutely wonderful guest that I have with me today. LJ Thomas is in the building. Hey, Miss LJ, how are you?
I am so good. That was such an amazing introduction. Oh my goodness. I'm so happy to be here with you today.
Thank you so much. And listen, don't ask me to do that again, LJ. Okay, that was look, that was on the fly. That was on the fly. I can't do it again. I can't reproduce it. No, thank you so much. Listen, I am just so excited because one of the biggest things, and I say this all the time, I absolutely love, 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 interviewing so many different people, right? But I do have a true heart for the entrepreneur, the independent business person, the unsung hero. So I am so excited to have you in the chair with me today. Okay. Look, even if it's just a virtual chair, you know what I'm saying? But I am so glad to have you here. And I coin you as the entrepreneur extraordinaire. That is my title for you, right? Because you believe in the power of entrepreneurship. First, I want to ask you, how did you get started? Like, have you always wanted to own your own?
Well, I got started by accident.
You.
I got started by accident. My first business was an 8-year-old person who did lawns. At 8 years
Wow.
old,
Mm-hmm.
I used to go around the clients that my mom had actually, they started me out because she would say she worked with people who were elderly or disabled. They couldn't do their lawns. And so I said, well, we can do it for a fee.
Wow. Love it.
So
At
my
8 years
brothers and
old.
I, yeah,
I
eight
love
years old.
that.
My brothers and I would do that. Then I stopped doing that because yours truly has asthma. So it got to be a little, So I decided I would do babysitting like all young girls do, babysitting.
Uh-huh.
And I left the babysitting service and started an ironing service. And
Wow.
then I got my first job. And by the time I did that at 15, 16 years old, I was doing all kinds of things for people, just whatever people needed. I was cleaning houses, I was doing grocery
Uh-huh.
shopping, I was doing everything. I guess I've just always wanted to have my own, I guess.
Wow. Was that
Hmm.
instilled in you at a young age, or was that just innate in you? Like, that's just something you wanted to do, or did your parents say, here is the importance of having your own?
I think it's a combination of the two because
Okay.
my mom was a single mother and she always worked really, really hard to try to support us. I'm the oldest of six,
Okay.
and we lived in Florence, South Carolina, and there weren't a lot of job opportunities for her in the 70s. And so she always had these little side businesses that she did, from Tupperware to Amway to, just a variety
Yes.
of things.
Yes.
So I I saw her doing it, and I think I just automatically figured, well, if my mom can have a business, I don't see why I can't have a business. And so
Yes.
it it was just natural for me. I felt
I
like
love that.
I'm supposed to have a business. And so
I
that,
love that. Well,
mhm,
I want to give a shout out real quick before we keep going to Brent Mora Gaskins. He is the CEO and owner of Amethyst on Fire TV, and he is tuning in. So I just wanted to give him a shout out. Thank you so much, Brent. Share it, share it, share it. Tell everybody about it. Listen, we're actually on all socials anyway, so they'll be able to pick up the replay and everything. So even if they're in traffic, if you're in traffic, tune in. Tune in if you have any questions about entrepreneurship. So listen, I'm going to dive right in because I'm going to tell you there are so many people that I know, that want to be an entrepreneur, right? But what for whatever the reason the formula has just not worked, okay?
right.
Including me, okay? Because I had a different idea of what I thought entrepreneurship was about, but like anything else, if you do not have the right vision and the right plan, you can fall short of the goal, right?
Right.
What would you say is the most challenging thing about being an entrepreneur?
I would say capital, working capital or startup capital. Uh, First, it's going to be startup capital. Then
Okay.
it's going to be operating expenses and capital. Um,
Okay.
and I say that because oftentimes people think, well, in order for me to start a business, I have to have X amount of money in the bank, and
Mm-hmm.
I have to have X credit score, and I have to have X number of investors if I choose to go that route. And so I'm never going to be able to start my business because I'm never going to be able to get these things because life, let's face it, life gets in the way.
Yes. Yes.
But I'm a person who went the non-traditional route. I didn't use bootstrapping. I didn't have investors. I didn't have money saved in the bank. I'm a person who decided, look, I don't care about all of that stuff. This is what I
Mm-hmm.
want to do, and this is what I'm going to do. So, for instance, my magazine, that's my newest project, my magazine. Well, technically,
Mm-hmm.
but anyway, I have a magazine I have a magazine called PATE Magazine, which stands for Positive Authors, Teachers, and Entrepreneurs. Most people would say, okay, you need to have money in the bank. You need to have a big email list, a list of subscribers, so forth and so on, blah, 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 blah. I didn't have that.
Okay.
But I decided I wanted to do a magazine, and I talked about it and planned for a couple years before I
Wow.
actually put out my first issue. My first issue was in March of 2024. My second issue was in June, and my third issue came out on the first of this month. You
Yes,
did it. Yes.
yes. Yes, I have not had an opportunity to tell my audience that I am in that publication because I wanted to wait until we had the interview. I didn't want anything to cloud that. So I just want to say thank you so much for acknowledging me in the magazine. It was absolutely an honor. I cannot wait for people to check it out, to check out my article. I was so impressed with it, and I literally am still on cloud 199 to be a part of that project. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, you are so welcome. But I have to say, I wanted to do the magazine so much that I just literally I sat down at my computer one night, and this is where being a freelance graphic designer comes in handy. I sat down at my computer one night and did the template for it and put articles in, contacted some people that I knew and asked them if it would be all right for me to feature them in my magazine. And they said yes. And I literally went from there.
I
Literally.
love that. I love it because I hear all the time people, saying that I mean, some people are talking about six figures where they have to have, in order to run
Mhm.
a publication. So it is great to hear someone that just said, no, I grind and this is what I wanted to do and this is what I did do.
Mhm. It's it's a blessing because my big thing is about exposing positivity. My
Yes,
company, the parent name of my company is Purely Positive Network.
I love
So,
that.
thank you. Anything that I do it's got to be positive.
I
It's
love
it's I
it.
mean, anything.
How do you
I don't wanna
maintain that, LJ, in an industry that is not so positive? Okay,
I
because
know.
we got to keep it all the way 100. We know that this is a very challenging industry. It could be very
Yes.
difficult at times. You come in contact with a lot of shady people, a lot of swindlers, a lot of people, and I'm not just telling this story from me. I hear it all the time. It's always a
Mhm.
topic of discussion for a lot of people. So how do you stay positive in this kind of climate?
Well, the first thing I do is I make sure that I how do I want to say this? That's how I that's how I stay positive, literally. How do I want to say this? Because
Yes.
people will say things to you that can make you flip to the negative side, but
Yes.
you gotta being positive is a choice. I say that all the time. So I
Mm,
choose to make positive comments. I choose to think positively. I choose to be involved in positive things, and I choose to align myself with positive people. If I didn't do that, then I wouldn't be able to keep a positive persona, as people say. Um,
yes.
it's not easy, as you said, in this particular industry, and I never thought I would be in entertainment or media, but here I am. Here I am, and it's hard. It's very
Yes.
hard. It's
Yes.
very hard, but it is possible. It's possible. I
Yes.
know it is because I'm doing it. I do it every day. And
Yes.
it's not something it's like I don't wake up and think, "Oh my God, I got to be positive today." That's not it at all.
Yes.
That's just my personality. Um,
Yes.
I feel like if I can say something nice and make somebody's day, or if I can do something that's no struggle for me and make
Mhm.
somebody's day, week, year, or whatever better, then yeah, I'm going to do that. And it's
Yes.
all about those little things that you do that can turn into something really big as far as positivity goes. And so that's how I
Yes.
live my life, and that's how I stay positive, period.
I love it. I love it. I know for me, it absolutely is draining to be around negative energy. It really is. Like
Hmm.
I don't
Hmm.
even thrive in that kind of energy. And when I have gotten to my slumps, which I've gotten, since I've been in this industry, I have learned that that's just not how I'm built. I can't stay in it for too long. I have my little pity party. I cry my little tears. I say, oh well, I was hurt again, and then I just get back up and do it, make it happen,
Right.
Captain. So I love that. And so, you said you never thought you would ever be in the entertainment business. Now, why is that? Because you are a lot of entertainment is what you do independently. So how did this become uh the thing for you?
Well, honestly, I don't know. Okay, wait a minute. Let me think back. Okay, so I have to say, my husband it has been in entertainment all his life. Okay, my
Okay.
husband, he has done everything from Broadway to traveling the country as a music director of a successful bands. He's been in film. He's everything. He's done everything except write a book. But that's
Okay.
my forte.
Okay.
Writing is my thing. So I was watching TV one day and I don't like bad news and I'm a little emotional sometimes, And so
Yes.
um I remember it was this story about this tornado that hit in Alabama and a bunch of kids got killed when the
Oh.
tornado hit the school. And he came
Mhm.
in and I was just bawling. I mean, just bawling.
Mhm.
And so he said, "Why are you?" He said, "First, you can't watch the news anymore." And I was like, "No, I don't know what's wrong with you. We're watching the news." But he said, "Why are you crying?" I told him and everything, and he was like, "I said there's so much negativity. I don't understand why they don't focus on positive stuff. It's the local news. Why can't you focus on the good stuff that people do?" And he said, "Because that's not the nature of media." He said,
Correct.
"If you could do a show, what would you call it?" And I said, "Purely positive." And he said, "Well, why
Wow.
don't you do a show?" And I just looked at him like he was crazy. And he goes, "I can shoot the show because my husband has a degree in television broadcasting and digital filmmaking."
That is
So he said, "I'll
awesome.
shoot the show for you and I'm not going to charge you." I was like, "Oh, good." Oh,
Awesome.
that's how
Awesome.
I got into it.
There is nothing better than a free media person, you know?
Right. It.
That
Start
is
making a
awesome. And
cheesecake.
so look, so that's how it all got started.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so what is Purely Positive, the actual network? What was your first show?
The first show was Purely Positive Show. That's our
Okay.
flagship show. And
Okay.
we spotlight positive people doing positive things for a positive community.
Love that.
So
Love that.
we started out ironically, ironically, my first show was not video. It was our pilot was actually a show with you've heard of BMF, right?
Of course. Of course.
Okay. Big Meech. Okay. Um I interviewed his mom.
Wow.
She was my first show. And
Isn't
that
that
was in
awesome?
it's amazing.
Yeah,
It's
coming right
amazing.
out the gate. That's awesome.
Yeah, a friend of a friend knew her and
Okay.
there we go. And she agreed to do the show and blah 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 blah. But then we waited a whole year between the next episode. And then when I did the next episode in 2017, I
Mhm.
started with people who were doing positive things. I started with people who had nonprofits, and then I went to people just in the community. And
Yes.
I've had the opportunity of featuring people around the world, fortunately, just doing a variety of things. I've
Yeah.
done Australia, Nigeria, England, some other places, and just
Awesome.
I've been blessed. And that
Yes.
show is, like I said, my flagship show. And then I went to after that, then I went to South Carolina Gets Lit,
I
which
like
is
that.
my baby. That's my baby. It's my baby because it's in honor of my grandmother. We just lost her in April. But
I'm so sorry to hear that.
thank you. But that show is actually the name of my literacy program where I teach children from pre-K or even a year old all the way up to 12 years old. I tutor them in reading
I love that.
and building, building their confidence. Because a lot of times
Yes.
when kids can't read, other kids pick on them and,
Yes.
make it really bad for them. So I work with them on their confidence as we're working on helping them get that foundation that they need as far as reading is concerned.
I
Um,
love that because I think that is so important, especially in today's society where I call it, we have the microwave alphabet, because
right,
everything's so electronic, and then everybody,
right.
texting on the phones, call
Hmm.
these different codes, CBDY. Look, I get laughed at by all of the people that I usually talk to text, especially family, right? They crack up because they're like, Angela, why do you put punctuation in your text messages, their text? But I do text like I'm writing a letter. I'm like,
Right.
this is the problem. Everything is so expeditious now. So you have
Hmm.
people that are, they'll say, the other day somebody said like TDBV or something like. I'm looking like, am I supposed to know
What
what
is
that
that?
means? Look, I'm old. Okay, I do not know what y'all over there talking about. So I think it is definitely important to make sure that we do help our youth, make
Hmm.
sure that they're literate and that they're able to read, because that's how you speak as well. And
Exactly.
although we're accepting of someone not having a good vernacular, it definitely takes you a lot further, period, when you definitely can speak and know what you're talking about,
I agree. I agree
you know
wholeheartedly. And that's one of the reasons why I chose to do that. That
Mhm.
particular show, South Carolina Gets Lit, I also feature authors.
That's
They
awesome.
have, yes, I love books, right? But
Yes. Yes.
they have an opportunity to get a 20 to 30-minute feature on the show, and they can read an excerpt of their book. We blast it out on social media, and the donation that I receive for them being on that show actually funds the literacy program. See, I learned something, right? Entrepreneur.
That's awesome. That is
So
awesome.
the two go hand in hand.
Yes.
And I've been very fortunate to work with some amazing children, some very amazing children. I even taught a little boy how to write in cursive and read cursive over the summer
That is so
because they
awesome.
don't
And
teach that.
I miss that. Let me tell you, I got three grandbabies, right? Two, three, four. And I'm trying to get them, ahead of the game, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I get them a lot of learning toys and,
Right.
the stencil for the alphabet so they can spell out things for me and different things like that. And I
Mm-hmm.
went to the store and was so just disappointed that they don't even sell the signature books anymore. I mean, the
Nope.
little tablets, and I'm like, when did
Nope.
we stop doing cursive writing? They're like, grandma, like
Right.
my older, family members, like, we haven't done it since I was in school, and they're like, young adults. I'm like, are you kidding me? When did they get rid
Girl.
of that? I used to love that tablet and feel like we were
Mm-hmm.
just writing so fancy. And so the thing was, I made a big deal about, well, I don't know why we would get rid of that. It's a necessity. We have to sign documents. They're like, we do electronic signature.
Exactly. And I'm like, that's you have created a whole couple generations that can't write, basically,
Yes, exactly.
you know. And
Exactly. So look, that'll be another show, honey. Get ready. You know what I'm saying? Because I leave nothing off the table. So we will be getting into that as well. But
uh-huh.
yeah, absolutely. So I think that it is important that, we
Mm-hmm.
do focus on it, put an emphasis, because a lot of things that are truly significant and important are in a book or in a
Right.
publication, and you want to know how to stay ahead of the curve because they're not going to do it in television. Just hint,
Right.
hint. Okay.
Mm-hmm. But after I did that show, after I started that show, then I went
Mm-hmm.
to Positive Business, and my
Mm-hmm.
very first guest was a best-selling author on her book about Africa and how Africa people need to look at Africa and consider business opportunities there. And I was like, wow. And it was that show just really started because I asked her if I could talk to her, and she said, yeah. She said, you want to do an interview? And I was like, sure. I
That's
said, can we
wonderful.
broadcast it? She said, yeah. And bam, there we
I love it. I love it. So this is
go.
awesome. And so you just continue to grow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, as an author, are you big on nonfiction, fiction? What's your genre?
Well, I have several.
All right.
Okay, so let me tell everybody I'm a little ADHD. Okay. So I have a collection of children's books called Leo Learns About and the variety of things that he learns about. As a matter of fact, a new one just came out on yesterday. Leo Learns About Finances.
Congratulations.
hmm And
Awesome.
I have a collection of short stories, which they're for the tweens. You know, it's a little
Yes.
sci-fi, little conspiracy, little horror type thing, you know. And
Okay.
then I
Okay.
have a fiction book called, well, the short stories are fiction, and then I have another fiction book. It should be a trilogy, but I haven't wrote part three yet. I'm gonna get to
Okay.
it eventually. I'm sorry, y'all,
Okay.
but I call it the Kill series for Kidnapped in Love. Um,
Oh, wow.
It's Kidnapped in Love, and then the second book, Kidnapped in Love 2, backfired. But let me tell you, when I finally get settled down enough to write part three, oh, it's going to throw everything out the park. I'm telling you. Because I already
I
got the
love
plot.
it. I love
I,
it.
yeah. And I
And
have
as a
nonfiction.
producer,
hmm
and before you tell me about the nonfiction, as a producer, do these become movies?
I'm working on that.
All right. I just wanted to know.
I'm working on that.
All right.
Especially the Kill series and the tween books. Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Oh,
All
definitely. There's some good
right.
stuff in there. But I do have nonfiction stuff. I have a nonfiction book on multiple sclerosis because I live
Mhm.
with multiple sclerosis, and it's called Bad Nerves Living with MS.
Mm,
It's a resource book because it has interviews with caregivers, um, a world-renowned neurologist who happens to be my doctor,
okay.
and a glossary and resources and a bunch of other things.
That is
Then I have a
awesome.
book. Thank you so much. Then I have a book called Tales of Survival Domestic Violence, which is also a
Yes.
resource book. It has
Okay.
my story and the story of a couple other people in there,
Okay.
and it has resources for help for people in practically any situation who's dealing with domestic abuse and or domestic violence.
Okay.
Because a lot of people don't know that there's financial abuse, there
Mm.
is um,
That's good. Can you
elderly
expound
abuse.
on financial abuse for me?
Yes, ma'am, I
I would
can.
just love to, I would love to get a better understanding of what that looks like.
Financial abuse is when, here's a scenario. You're
Okay.
married,
Mm-hmm.
you work a job, your husband works a job, you all have
Mm-hmm.
a joint account.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have access to the account, though your money is direct deposited. In order for you to
Mm.
get money, your spouse has to give you money. Although
Wow.
you work as hard as they do and put money into the account and everything, you don't get to decide how you can spend your money, when you can use your money, where you can use your money, anything about your money. It is basically control of your financial assets.
Wow. Wow.
That is financial abuse.
Wow.
And
Okay.
unfortunately, there are people who are in that situation and they don't
Mhm.
even realize that it's abusive.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known that 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 would be the case.
Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Don't
So
worry,
there's so
Stevie.
many.
That's not me and Steve. Okay, look, we share. Okay.
Right.
Let me get that clear. He know I be kicking and screaming. What you mean I can't make no money? But in our marriage, I will say he is the better budgeter.
Uh,
So I tend to make sure in my contribution to our household that he actually does have the right, because he know me hot in the hands. Boy, I be trying to say I just go ahead pay my contribution, that way I don't have to worry about it. But it's really that's definitely it's just eye opening, to
mhm.
be able to hear that and to know that that actually is a form. You just don't think of it, but it really,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a good one. I
Yeah.
hat hats hats off to the couples that recognize it and try to do something about it.
Mhm.
um because again, typically you just think of abuse as physical most times
Right.
or verbal.
Right. Right.
Wow, what a great book. Thank you for putting that out there.
Oh, you're welcome. It's been out for 10 going on 15 years, I think.
That is
Um,
awesome.
and I tackle a lot of myths in that particular book
Okay.
because like you said, a lot of people just think physical and verbal, but there are several different kinds of abuse. And I give resources to pretty much everybody, even same-sex relationships, you know,
Hmm.
just everybody, college students who are in abusive relationships. I was in high school and I was in an abusive relationship. Unfortunately, I had
Wow.
the good sense to know that that's what it was and got out of it before
Yeah. Yeah.
we got married because it just would have gotten worse after I
Wow.
said I do.
And
But
that's high school.
high school,
Wow.
when somebody picks you up, when somebody sees you in the hallway talking to somebody because they don't want you talking to that person, they walk up to you and physically pick you up, take you to your classroom, sit you in your chair, and say, "Don't move until the bell rings. I'll be back to get you." And you're
Wow.
not even in my class.
Wow.
That's what
Wow.
I said.
Yeah, yeah, that
Yeah.
is definitely
Hmm.
that's new to me. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
see, if you wrote these so long ago, but look how it's still relevant
Hmm.
today because people are still
Exactly.
going through that. Yes.
Hmm. Yeah. So that book is that I think was probably my most emotional book to write because it
Hmm.
pulled so much out of me
Yeah.
internally to be able to write that book, thinking about things that I've seen, things I've witnessed, things that I've been through. It was really hard, but I felt like people needed to know. And then, of course, I had to write about this right here. Whew, my
Mhm.
hair, girl. So the book is called The Pursuit of Nappiness, believe it or not.
I love it. I love it.
And my
And
husband
what
came up
made
with
you
the title.
decide that you wanted to write a book about your hair?
My husband, he loves hair,
Okay.
and I chopped it all off one day.
Mhm.
All of it. I mean, it was this long, like that long.
Mhm.
He went to work, I had hair. He came home, I did not. So I decided that I needed to write about that. And
Wow.
he was like, I got the perfect name for the book. And I was like, what's the name of the book? He was like, The Pursuit of Nappiness. He said, because you cut all your hair off just to go natural. And I was like, but you make it sound so bad. I mean, so I just chronicled the journeys of my hair to get to where it is now.
I
And
love it. I love it.
it goes
But
all the way back to my child.
the honest fact is, in our culture we still have these discussions and issues with hair, whether it
Right,
be wigs versus natural, whether, I
right,
mean, we still deal with that as a culture, which I think is absolutely crazy, but unfortunately it is still the case. Either way, and then even with people that do wear the wigs and the pieces, oh, you just want to be European. Oh no, some people just like to shake and go. Okay, I'm one of them people. Okay, I
right.
don't care nothing about being another race. I just don't know how to do hair, and so I'd like to pick up different things. I also have naturally curly hair. My hair is very thin. My natural hair is very thin. I have to always keep it cut short because I really
Hmm.
can't do anything with it. Can't put a lot of heat to it. And I like variety. So I like blonde. Some days I like having black hair. Sometimes I like having red hair. It's all about, like a fashion thing. It's not necessarily
Hmm.
where I've gone so deep into thinking that, oh, I just want to change identity or whatever the case may be. And for the beautiful natural women, who pride themselves on their long, beautiful hair. I mean, at the end of the day, that's a great thing, but there's so many more things we need to tackle, in our culture than hair. You know what I mean? But it
Right.
definitely is still of great importance to a lot of women.
It is. It is. And I never guessed that the reason why my husband likes long hair is because it reminded him of his grandmother. So
Oh, that's so sweet.
so I
That's sweet.
compromised instead of keeping it short like I like it. I like short hair. I
Yeah,
let it
yeah,
grow long, hence I have longer hair. And I
yeah.
guess I'll keep it long as is I am with him, which is gonna be forever because we've been together 37 years. I can't see us going nowhere.
Okay. I was about to be like, okay, well, it's gonna stay long then. We got it.
Yeah, it's gonna
I
stay
love
long.
that. But to be able to write about that is really good. And I know that it probably will definitely help a lot of women, because again, you don't feel like you put a lot of thought into that, but there are
Hmm.
some people that, that do.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
is
there are.
awesome.
And I don't have, that's about the extent of my nonfiction. I have
Okay.
some other short stories. As a matter of fact, I'm getting ready to turn all of my books into audiobooks.
Love
Um,
it. Love it.
oh, that's gonna be a job and a half.
Yeah, it is. I didn't realize how how in depth audio was. I started looking into it this, as a matter of fact, at the beginning of this year for mine. And yes, it's another feat. So I said I'll put mine on pause for a minute until we get back, up and going. And but what do you love most about being an author? Like, I used to always say sometimes that books, outside of nonfiction, it was just a break from reality. And I read books when I was a kid. And I feel like, especially over the summers, because I wasn't, my mom didn't play. I stayed in the house. All my friends got to go to little clubs, this and that. Angela wasn't clubbing nothing. So I was club books, and I read so many of them. Now listen, some of them I ain't had no business reading, but I didn't know no better. But like I was addicted to like Harlequin romances. I think I read like 100 books one summer that a lady gave me. She didn't think anything of it, but oh, I just was. They were so romantic and beautiful, and I love to hear about the stories to come. And then, I was a Judy Bloom girl. I love Judy Bloom.
Hmm.
As a matter of
Hmm.
fact, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. I learned so much, reading that book. And Super Fudge. I was the, chunky monkey. So it felt good to, have someone that, kind of went through. Well, I mean, I ain't really had no big issue with mine, but you know how, some girls in school, that's an issue for them or whatever the case may be. So it was just, I always felt like that was a break from reality. Is that your take on fiction, or what makes you love being a writer so much?
Well, I think it started out because, like you, I'm a very avid reader. I started out reading when I was 3 years old, and I was one of those kids, back in the day
Hmm.
when I don't mind people knowing my age. I'm 57. So back in the day when
Hey,
I was in
woo-hoo.
school,
Uh-huh.
you at the end of the school year, they would give you the textbooks that they weren't using in school the
Yes.
following year.
Yes.
So
Yes.
every year I came home with all these books, and my mama was like, whatever. Okay. She just stopped fussing about it. And then my grandmother would order those Reader's Digest books
Mm-hmm.
and
Hmm.
the condensed. Yes, girl. When I was 7 years old, me and my grandmother and I used to fight over the books because I was trying to get them before she did because she read slower than I did. So we
Okay.
had to come up with a system. But I think starting out as an author came from my love of reading, and I just liked the fact that I was teleported to a completely different place from where I
Yeah.
was, and I could go there and not have to jump on a plane or whatever and do anything that I
Yes.
was scared to do to get there because of the way the book was written, and I wanted to do that for people.
I
So
love
I
that.
think that's why I started out writing, because I started out with poetry, but we're not going to talk about that. And then
Why not? What's up with poetry? That's beautiful. And I have heard one of your poems, by the way, so it was very good. It really was. And I don't just, throw that out. Let me tell you how, if I didn't think it was that good, I just would have been like, well, all right. That's what I usually leave with. Okay. I don't go into any more detail than that. Okay. But no, it was really, really good. And it was a play on, if I'm not mistaken, COVID, right?
probably, yeah.
Yes. The one that I heard was about, it was COVID, but it was just your take on COVID. And it was very well written. Very well written.
Well, thank you very much. I
Yes, ma'am.
My poetry is something that I have to be in the mood to write it. So I don't
Okay.
write it very often. But fiction comes to me at night when I'm asleep and I wake up and type it out. It's just like bam, it just
Yes.
comes. So
Yeah.
that's my thing. I love writing fiction because in fiction I can lead the reader anywhere I want to. I
Yeah.
can make them feel anywhere I want to just by the words that I use. And I always felt like that would be my gift to the world, would
I
be
love that.
books. So
I love
that's
that.
why I became an author.
Now, so tying this all together, we're talking about, entrepreneurship. So we're talking about author, we're talking about speaker, graphics designer. We talked about the production because you do producing. We talked about, being an independent creative. Now, here's the thing: it is not easy being an entrepreneur. And how is it that you're able to succeed and have had success in making money? Because here's the thing, this is kind of one of the myths that I want to dispel. I think people feel like because you're not on an A list, that you don't make any money in this industry. And that is definitely not the case. Small screen sometimes makes well over, what some of the megas do. And so I say that to say we sometimes on this independent lower level feel like there needs to be a certain validation in order for us to be dubbed as successful. And that honestly is not the case. So, with that being said, how have you managed to stay in an entrepreneurial, not only mindset, but just be able to stay in that, arena for so many years?
No, I think it's my tenacity. I
Hmm.
really just I don't give up. I don't
Amen.
quit. If an obstacle presents itself, okay, I see you. And then I will I do. I see you. I'm going around you.
I love that.
Over, under, around, whatever it is, because you're not going to stop me from doing whatever I want to do. And the best thing that I know of in any arena, in any
Mhm.
industry, when you are a determined person and you're self motivated, nobody can put a cap on you.
I love
Nobody can
that.
say, um, you can't do this, or I wouldn't do it this way. You should do it that way. You can't do that to people because
Yeah.
we're all different. What worked for you may not work for the next person.
Yes.
And what you deem as important and successful may be completely the opposite of what somebody else thinks is important and successful. My first business as a yard person doing yards for people, I felt like I was successful, even though all the money I made went to my mother.
Yeah.
We never kept any money for ourselves.
Yeah.
We did it to help our single mother out.
Yes.
But in my
Yes.
mind, I was successful. You know why? Because I was making money.
Yeah.
Not necessarily because I had a lot of money, but
Yeah.
because I was making money to help my mother. So in my mind, I was successful. Even my first business as an adult, I didn't make a lot of money at that business, but I was successful because the thing that I wanted to do, I was doing freelance graphic design. And I'm still doing freelance graphic design
Yes.
decades later. That was way back in 1995, I started that.
Wow. Wow. And
And
look
it's,
how lucrative it is today and how much of a
yes.
necessity it is today. Some
Hmm.
things just do not go out of style. You just have to
Right.
get more innovative in order to stay on the curb. But as long as you're willing to do that,
Hmm.
I think that that also yields success because I do feel like, yeah, you said something that was critical in answering a question one time about being an entrepreneur and staying understanding your craft. I think we
Right.
talked about how people just out here willy-nilly, not even really, ain't looked at nothing they're supposed to do, and just think that it's just gonna pop like that. And yes, there are a lot of influencers that make a pretty good penny,
Hmm.
without any kind of formula at all. But that's just timing and positioning, honestly.
Right.
But for the business person, serious minded business person that wants to continue to elevate in their craft, getting an understanding of what the industry you're in, what is where you're trying to go, and as long as it stays in line with what you're destined to do, I feel like it's super important. What do you think?
Think so too. And I feel like um if you're serious about as an entrepreneur, if you're serious about being in business, do the research.
Yes.
Find out if you want to be a ditch digger, then find out the best shovel to use. Find
Amen.
out, are there different kinds of shovel you should use for different types of soil. Be the best at
Yes.
whatever it is that you're going to do. Make sure that before you jump into anything, you have exhausted everything out there as far as helping you to do your absolute best. And then
Yes.
when you couple that with your determination and your self motivation and your own tenacity, nobody will be able to stop you. But
Yes.
it has to come from here first of all. You know,
Yes.
you
Yep.
and
And I
if you
feel
can't,
like you have to know yourself in order
right?
to navigate in our industry, especially the world of
Yes.
entertainment is huge, and it is very easy to get sucked in by,
Hmm.
the powerful. It's easy to get sucked in by fame. It's easy to get sucked in by money. You have to be very intuitive on who you are, and just being able to stay in the line of integrity that, it's something that you can live with, because a lot of people they're paying a price for that fame. Don't think
Hmm.
that that's a freebie. There's a cost to fame,
There
period.
is. Right. And I think a lot of people don't understand that, um, you're going to have people who support you. You're going to have haters. You're going to have naysayers. You're going to have, you're going to run the whole gamut of your
Yeah,
cheering section. Everybody
yeah,
cheers you on, whether they actually cheer you on or not. My husband
yeah.
calls them motivators. He
I know
said,
that's right. I know that's right.
he said, if you don't have anything positive to say about what I'm doing, or if you not supporting me, you still supporting me, because when I see that you're not supporting me, that just makes me try harder.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you're still supporting me. So, and I tell people all the time, you can't always listen to you can't and you shouldn't listen to all the negative stuff, because all that
yeah,
stuff is sandpaper in your ear. You should
yeah,
have, um, you should be able to decipher the good negativity from the bad negativity.
yeah.
Sometimes the good negativity is constructive criticism.
Yes,
That's okay. Constructive
yes.
criticism is perfectly fine. But if somebody just puts you and what you do down, that's negative negativity.
Correct.
And that's the part that you want to stay away from. But even that negative negativity, you can turn that around and use that to your benefit. You can say, "Oh, that's how you feel. All right, then watch me." You
Yeah.
know how,
Yeah, and
you know
I
what?
and I love that you said that, because I call it that rejection wheel. Like,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes when you get ready to jump out, I know I can use myself personally. When I first came into the industry, I was very green. So all I knew was just being happy. I love interviewing people, being able to share what they have, and who they are with the world. But what I didn't realize is that that could come with people who don't necessarily feel like what you're doing is great, or that could come with people who are hating on your success. But at the end of the day, what I feel like is that when you keep getting knocked down by the rejection wheel, ultimately it's only going to do one or two things. It's either going to make you or break you. And what I mean by that is, when you get rejected enough, and you know that you know that you know, then you're going to
Mm-hmm.
push past that. And that's what, you're saying. Like, it doesn't matter about that negativity. I'm going to turn it around, because see, what I'll say is, while you saying no, I'm telling you it's going to be a yes. Wait till I'm finished with you.
Right.
It's going to be a yes. And
Right.
that it really does inspire me at this particular point, because it has helped me to really love myself, love what I'm doing. It doesn't necessarily have to, work for everybody, because believe it or not, even Beyonce has haters, even Oprah has haters.
Right.
And I use them because, they're so iconic. Most of the world know them, but
Mm-hmm.
there's still people who don't care for them. So at
Right.
the end of the day, if they stopped what they were doing just for that very reason, then they wouldn't have been able to fulfill whatever it is they got going on. And we just have to remember what success looks like to us. What is our level,
Exactly.
of success? And I think that that's what separates what I call the men from the mice in this industry. Just know who you are and keep going. The other
Mm-hmm.
part of that is also the people that give you constructive criticism. It's some
Right.
people who are literally trying to help you out. They saying, "Hey,
Right.
I don't tune in because it be kind of boring," or "I don't tune
Right.
in because you don't ask the right questions." So you
Right.
can take that and then decide whether you're gonna, receive it. If it lines up with what you got going on, then you can
Mm-hmm.
receive it. Everything is, the kind of support, like you said, that we need. Some people just
Mm-hmm.
love us and want to see us in the best light, especially like people who are our friends who know us outside of, getting on a mic. So sometimes they
Right.
looking like, where's your personality at? I want to see that on the mic. You know what I mean? And so,
Right.
we can't look at everything as, oh, they don't want to see us win. Let me tell you about the hurdlers. You will know who they are. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the beautiful thing is, you better be a part of that conversation. Like, you better
Mm-hmm.
be hoping somebody over there talking about you. Because guess what? That's attention too. Okay. Whether it's
Right.
good, bad, or indifferent, you can look at it, look in a purely positive light. You know what I mean?
All right now. All right now. I love that. I love the way you said that.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
it's hard for, I don't know, some people just, have you ever met the person who wants to be in business, but they just don't have the motivation? They just don't know.
Yeah.
"Well, I don't know where to start. Well, what do I
Yeah.
need to do? I don't have that. I don't know how I should get this done."
Yeah, that's about
And then
99% of the people.
pretty much,
And the only
pretty
reason
much,
I say that is because your 1% are the one that do what 99% of the other people are not doing. Yes, I know that all too well. And the bottom line is, the grind is hard. You know what I'm saying?
exactly.
It really is a grind. It is very rare that you're going to talk to somebody who said, when I
Hmm.
first came into this business, it just happened for me. That has
Right.
happened to people, but it's not,
Hmm.
you can count on probably one or two hands that
Right.
that really did take place. So the grind
Hmm.
is the hard work. And when you grind so hard, and then somebody wants to just kind of piggyback and don't want to put in the effort of the work, it is kind of hard for you to share that, with
Yeah.
someone when you feel like they haven't gone through the rejections or the hard work that you've gone through, but they just want to sit back now and be like, hey, we successful together,
Right.
yeah. So and you be like, no, we're not.
Right, right. Because that happened to me as an author. I started out, I wrote my first book when I was in high school,
Wow.
and
Wow.
I sent it out, sent it out, sent it out, sent it out, rejection, 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 rejection. So I stopped sending it out. Fast
Mhm.
forward to when I had kids, and I would tell them stories, and they were like, "Mommy, you should publish these. You should, you should, you should." And I was like, "Oh, whatever." So I wouldn't do it. But my kids told me that when they were 10 years old. It took me 10 years. It
Wow.
literally took me 10 years to get up the nerve from all those rejection letters to self-publish my book.
Wow.
But I
Wow.
did it. And then people are knocking on the door. We can publish it. That's all right. I got it.
No, that's
I'm good.
right. You
That's all
got
right. I
that
got it.
went through all the work now. Sit down.
Yeah. Now you want to publish me. No, I got it. I'm good. I'd rather
Yes.
have all this control because I don't want to pay you no royalties anyway.
Let me tell you, that cuts out the middleman, and it also makes you a lot more streamlined, and to be
Mm-hmm.
able to get all of your residuals, passive, what do they call it,
Mm-hmm.
the passive income. It's a name for it. I can't think. I was going to say
Right.
passive aggressive, but I know that's something else. But just that passive residual income. There you go. Thanks, Angela.
Yes.
And so, so it definitely is, where you can have that level of success for yourself, and be
Right.
able to keep all of that money in house and build your legacy, and make
Right.
it a family business. Like I said, sometimes I kind of love the perk of not being that well known, but being able to get have a nice income, where I'm comfortable, my family is set up, I built a legacy,
Right.
but not have to be where I'm so famous that everybody in my business. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes that's actually a blessing, because them poor A-listers, they be all in your mix. But again, you
Hmm.
have to also take the good with the bad. it's
Right.
it's just like the wheat and the tear. They all gonna be growing together. The haters and the
Hmm.
motivators, they gonna be growing together.
That's
And we
right.
just have to remember that. Let me tell you, LJ, I just looked at the time, and I'm sitting up here like, you are kidding me. I know it is not almost time for us to get off of this show. I am devastated. But I want to say that the information that you have provided has been absolutely wonderful. But before we get off of this broadcast, because they're gonna shut me down at 6 o'clock, please tell
Uh-huh.
people how they can support you, anything that you have going on that you want to let them know about, and just how they can, follow you too as well.
Okay. You can follow me on Facebook under LJ Thomas is the name. You can follow the show's page, Purely Positive, on Facebook. Also on Twitter. Forgot about that. Uh, and on LinkedIn, you can follow me under LJ Thomas slash purely positive. My website is ppositivenetwork.com. You can follow everything via my network, via my webpage. So if you say, if I mentioned the show and you don't know where to get it or whatever,
Mhm.
just go to ppositivenetwork.com and everything is listed there. Absolutely everything, social media, emails for each individual show, because every show has a different email. So I could keep organized because I told y'all I'm OCD. So we got
That's
all of
just
that together.
organization, baby.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And I have, oh, I forgot. I have on September the 21st, not this
Okay.
coming Saturday, but the next Saturday, where I
Mhm.
live in Florence, South Carolina, we are celebrating O.T. Brown Global Day. We are giving back to the community. We are rental assistance in the amount of $500 payable to the landlord or the property management company. We are also doing scholarships to trade schools. We are
Oh,
providing community resources, mental health, veterans, elderly, everything. And
love
we're doing
this.
a drawing for the rental assistance. So there'll be 5 categories, either youth, father, elderly, veteran, or single mother.
I love that. That is awesome.
hmm
And what time does it start on Saturday, the 21st, right?
The 21st. It starts
21st.
at 9 o'clock from 9 to noon. And in order to register, you need to go to DAPS mentoring.org/sign up. And you need to know in advance, in order to win, you have to be there at the event.
Awesome.
Yeah, they're at the event. But we are planning on having a good time because y'all, guess what? My husband is a DJ and he is DJing the event. Woo! I'm so excited.
Love it. I love it. And so it starts at what time? And where is it located again? I know it's in Florence. Where in Florence?
It's in Florence, South Carolina, starting at 9 o'clock from 9 to noon at 1113 Oakland Avenue, Florence, South Carolina, 29506. And that is for people who used to live in Florence or who've lived here for a long time. That's the Big T Shopping Center. It's at the
Love
Community
it.
Empowerment Center.
All right. Well, congratulations. That sounds absolutely amazing. What is one thing that you would like to tell somebody before we go? Just some encouragement, a nugget, anything before we get off of here today.
Don't let anybody stop you. Don't let anybody stop you, including yourself. Don't let
Amen.
anybody stop you. And I want you to remember that being positive is a choice. Make it the best choice that you positively can. If somebody says something to you negative, you turn it around on them and say, have a good day. You don't have to respond negatively. You don't have to huff and puff, cuss, or throw a tantrum, none of that. Just say something positive. Let God take care of that negativity. Be
I
positive
love
in
that.
everything you do. And you don't think about it now, but that's going to take you a long way in life.
I love it. LJ, thank you so much. It is an absolute honor knowing you. It is an absolute honor that you were on my show today. I truly, truly appreciate it. And for our audience out there, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for the love. Thank you. We're going to continue to grow. We're going to continue to elevate. I'm so excited. And of course, this is me, A Fox. You can find me at www.theafoxshow.com. On Facebook, I'm the Angela Foxworth Show and Angela Foxworth. And on Instagram at Angela Foxworth TV or The Real A Fox. So you can find me on all of those social platforms. And my show, also YouTube. I got to start plugging that in. Okay, YouTube television, The Angela Foxworth Show. So I am so thankful and I am just so elated. Next week, we got another great show for you. So we're about to get into social issues, LJ. Like I'm about to start
Mhm.
bringing people on where we're going to be talking about these jealousies, being around jealous people. How does that affect you? We're going to talk about domestic violence. We're going to talk about the controversial P word, politics. Yes, I said it. I said it. We are about to get down and dirty on the Angela Foxworth Show just because it's about motivation, inspiration, and education. So, listen,
Mhm.
life with a Fox is truly living outside the box,
Outside
and I
the
am
box.
always interviewing with a purpose. You guys have an absolutely wonderful week. I will see you next terrific Tuesday. Good night.
Yay!
Thank you, LJ. Thank you.
You are so welcome.